program. Welcome to the Central Asia program seminars, and welcome to this seminar today titled From Tradition to Digital, Exploring Media and Communication Dynamics in Central Asia. So as many questions arise about the evolution of Central Asia in media and the various communication channels, particularly social media, and especially in an increasing authoritarian environment in the region. I'm pleased to welcome today, very pleased to welcome today, Dr. Elira Turdubayeva. Dr. Turdubayeva is not only a specialist in social media and civic engagement in Kyrgyzstan. She's done a lot of research on Central Asia, and she's also just released an edited volume titled Mapping the Media and Communication Landscape of Central Asia, an anthology of emerging and contemporary issues. So Dr. Turdubayeva will share today insights from this book, which brings together diverse perspectives from across the region to address contemporary challenges, including the role of media in political activism, the influence of digital platform on civic engagement, and the transformation of communication practices amid globalization. So Dr. Turdubayeva holds a PhD in media and communications from Kyrgyzstan Turkmenistan University. She has held roles at several universities, including as the former department head of journalism and mass communication at the American University of Central Asia. She's a founder of the online university in Kyrgyzstan and the Association of Communicators of Kyrgyzstan. Currently, she heads the journalism and mass communications program at International Alato University in Kyrgyzstan, and she researches on many topics, including on media and artificial intelligence, AI in education, political participation in media, social media and protest, network analysis, gender representation, media and activism, surveillance, hate speech, and conflicts in Central Asia. And she's also a Fulbright scholar at the University of Miami School of Communication, and she conducts research there on social media's role in civic engagement in Central Asia, pilot study of Kyrgyzstan. So Elira is going to present, I guess, about 25 minutes, something like that, or half an hour. So Elira's presentation will be followed by a Q&A session. So for our online audience, please feel free to send me your questions in the Q&A chat, in the chat box. So thank you very much, Elira, for joining us today, and the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. First of all, I would like to thank Central Asian Program at Elliott School of International Affairs and Dr. Marlene Lariel also for supporting us to publish this book. And thank you very much, Sebastien Peyrouse, for organizing and moderating this event. It's really an honor for me to present it in a hybrid format, both online and offline. Here we have also offline participants. So my presentation will be focused mostly on media and communication in Central Asia, and but with the focus on Kyrgyzstan. So can you?
It's not working.
Yeah.
See. Okay, I'm so sorry.
Okay.
Marabo, we have an issue here with the PowerPoint.
Yes. Let me tell more about our book, which was published by Lexington Books last year in February 2023, with the support of George Washington University's Elliott School of International Affairs. It's a Lexington book series on Central Asia, focusing on media and communication in 4 Central Asian countries: Kyrgyzstan, Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, and Tajikistan. We couldn't include Turkmenistan because it was really hard for us to find someone who is doing research on media, journalism, communication in Turkmenistan, because it's a very closed and almost like totalitarian country, and this topic is very sensitive there. So we focused on these 4 countries, and here is the QR code. You can scan it and see the book, the description of the book and the chapters there. We have like 14 chapters from 4 countries, mostly young researchers. And there are 13 young researchers, local researchers from Central Asia, which makes this book very important with the local perspective. They conduct research, they collect data, living and working and studying and researching media and communication landscape of Central Asia, being in Central Asia, which gives this insight from within Central Asia. And 7 foreign co-authors who did co-authoring with them. If we look at the status of media freedom in Central Asian countries, mostly like being the authoritarian, like semi-authoritarian countries, there is media censorship, and the press freedom and media freedom, freedom of expression is declining. When we look at Freedom House Freedom in the World 2024 ranking, which is the latest, you can see here like political rights, civic liberties, and freedom of media and freedom of press declining. So after 2020 events in Kyrgyzstan, the last October events in Kyrgyzstan in 2020, after that, within 4 years, the freedom of speech and media in Kyrgyzstan is declining. We have lost 60 in a ranking, Freedom House ranking. We went back to 60, decreasing. Yeah, so now it's not free at all. Before it was partly free, and the same for Uzbekistan and Kazakhstan with their authoritarian previous leaders, Islam Karimov and Nazarbayev. All media were controlled by presidents like daughter Dariga Nazarbayeva in Kazakhstan and in Uzbekistan. Now it's changing, but still there are a lot of issues with freedom of speech and media and censorship issues. So if we look in in 2023, in Kyrgyzstan, authorities like power holders, our president, tried to shut down 2 of the country's most critical investigative media outlets, like Radio Azatik, Radio Free Europe and Liberty, and Kyrgyz Service of Radio Liberty in Bishkek. They blocked their website, and then they also blocked their bank account so that they cannot pay the journalists their salary. And also Klop, the very outstanding investigative media outlet, they blocked its Kyrgyz website, and also they did a lot of censorship against Cactus Media, against Next TV, and also 24KG, which were more or less independent private media outlets. And in July, they wanted to shut down and to change the management, to put loyal people to government. And when the management changed, the whole editorial policy of these media outlets also changed. So they become like pro-presidential, pro-governmental, getting also subsidies from government. And in February 2024, the court and higher court in Bishkek also made a decision to liquidate Klop KG. And so this all changes in Kyrgyzstan, it means that we are going towards back to authoritarianism. Like we were supposed to be island of democracy, in Kyrgyzstan, but now with all these authoritarian neighbors and with the influence of Russia, we are going back to authoritarian club. I mean, like Putin's authoritarian club, and with the Russian propaganda and Russian media influence in for local audiences, especially with the Ukrainian war, is also it's very influential Russian propaganda in Kyrgyzstan. and in Central Asia. So in recently, also in June 2023, Article 19 also expressed like their concern regarding the detention and the censorship of media freedom and civic space, with the foreign agent law, which was also passed by Parliament and President signed, it's also limiting media freedom because now local media outlets are also considered to be like an NGO or like a foreign agent, because they're also getting funds from outside, like Azatlık, Radio Free Liberty and Club. They all work with projects, like it can be also social projects, gender projects, or even climate change, environmental projects. They work with them, and now they are considered to be foreign agent. This law is also lobbied by, goes by Putin, Putin's law. We call it now in Georgia also, they passed this law. So this law is limiting both NGOs, civil society organizations, and media outlets. So we had this on Bolot Tamirov's case, like he's the founder of Tamirov Live and I this YouTube channel, and the most outstanding investigative journalist. He investigated corruption of Kamchibek Tashiv, the current head of Assembly. It's a security for national security head, and Sadr Japarov, our current president's relatives and their sons, about the procurements, about the corruption, using the government budget in their own purposes. So he was also he was put in jail, and as you can see from the photo, they came to his apartment, and as if they are detaining a terrorist, they did this to him, and then they deported him to Moscow, to Russia. Now he's a journalist in exile in Poland, in Warsaw. So now Kyrgyzstan also has journalists in exile, more than 10 journalists in Prague and Poland, and doing their investigations online with open access data, and being in Europe because they cannot stay in Kyrgyzstan. And recently they also, in 16 January, they also put 11 journalists in jail. The same correspondents and reporters and investigative journalists of Aytaik Dese and Tamirov Live, and his wife also, and the higher court verdict decision was to put them for 6 years in jail. And this didn't happen in Kyrgyzstan before. In previous presidents wouldn't do that, but now it means that we're going back to authoritarian regime. And Reporters Without Borders also ranking, you can see here, political rights, economic indicators, so this is the wife of Tamirov's life, and Mahabat, she's now in jail together with other journalists, now in detained as of today is 11, and so they also decided to take their 11 years old son to orphanage. So now we have a huge campaign among journalists, don't touch their kid, because it's like this would never happen before. Now it's also bringing to self-censorship of other journalists and bloggers, so that they wouldn't conduct such investigations against corruption, and then otherwise they will also end up in jail. So this safety of journalists in Kyrgyzstan is journalists are in danger in Kyrgyzstan now. And the latest law on which was passed in August, in the end of August, about misinformation, about fake news, now for social media users, like Facebook users, Instagram users, users on Telegram, also for their comments, likes and shares also can be detained, and also will pay from $100 to $2,000. So this law passed only 1 month ago. Now they want also to control social media users also. So the 10 October 2024, which is like 2 weeks ago, is supposed to be now, it's a dark day for press freedom in Kyrgyzstan. according to Reporters Without Borders, because that day Kyrgyz courts convicted Mahabat Tajibek Kızı, Azamat Ishanbekov, Akhtile Kaparov, and Aikev Ishikeva, who is just 21 years old, and journalists for the YouTube channel Tamirov Live, for like calling for mass riots. They put the sentence came out that they will be in probation for 6 years of imprisonment. So here they are, you can see them. They are wearing T-shirts like Aki let Birovsambait. So we will tell the truth anyway, yeah. So this is the head of RSF's comment on that, and this is the internet freedom status. So according to media freedom, obstacles to access, limits to content, and violation of user rights. It's also declining. As you can see, we have now websites blocked, social media blocked, TikTok was blocked last year, and now we use VPN to access TikTok. So now, like our neighbors, like Uzbekistan, Turkmenistan, we are also using VPNs. So, and pro-governmental commentators we have, and users arrested for sharing, for commenting, for criticizing government. They're also being put in jail. And just 3 days ago, a user of social media on Facebook, he posted a post criticizing the Ministry of Transportation government for building bad roads. And then he was also put in jail like 3 days ago. So the users of social media are also being punished under this new law, which was passed in August. So we have like also, according, this is our internet statistics, internet penetration is really high, and they access it through mobile phones, and mobile phone owners are like 160%, like 11 million people. Like some of them have 2 smartphones or 2 SIM cards, and the population is 7 million, yeah, so it's really high. And then they use social media through mobile phone. And then according to this statistics, latest statistics from January 2024, it's like 43.5% of total population, yeah, 2.95 million social media users in Kyrgyzstan. We have also IERES 2024 Vibrant Information Barometer for social media usage, yeah. And here we have Facebook statistics, 807,000 users of Facebook in Kyrgyzstan, because Instagram is also under Meta, and Instagram 2.95 million users. And X, Twitter, is less, it's just 87,000 users. This is a phenomena in Kyrgyzstan's like troll farms. Like we have like various power holders, like mostly government, and they sponsor trolls. Like they create hundreds of fake accounts, and then they try to manipulate public opinion through social media, like disseminating misinformation, disseminating like a content which is pro-governmental, or criticizing investigative journalists, activists, human rights defenders. So they also have a set agenda which they promote online in order to manipulate public opinion, or to create like a pro-governmental public opinion. So in June 2023, Czechit media investigation revealed that a network of fake Facebook accounts closely associated with the like a public broadcasting company, KTR. Now it's not anymore public, now it's pro-governmental. They changed its status, and now it belongs to government, subsidized by government. So the workers, journalists of this state TV channel were working for government as troll farms and getting paid for doing this work, yeah. These troll farms are also active during elections, and they disseminate all this fake information through like Facebook, Instagram, through all social media platforms, and then they are managed by people, like mostly political technologists. The latest investigation from last week, it was a new one. They revealed that local journalists, that Russian Putin's political technologist, polittechnolog, like who manipulate the public opinion. Yeah, they came to Kyrgyzstan and they were teaching them how to do this, and they were sharing their experience and methods and technologies. In these fake accounts, troll farms, they are like mostly journalists, mostly people who know how to do this, yeah, how to work on social media, and then they serve the power holders, yeah, and also they do online harassment, online attacks, online violence against investigative journalists, against women journalists, and women's rights defenders, like gender activists and human rights activists also. These troll farms, according to a 2022 report from FactCheck KG, also they also use AI, artificial intelligence, to automate these tasks, yeah, to disseminate hundreds of thousands messages immediately, and they hire for this. This is like quite advanced, and this is all are sponsored, like as of the investigation of journalists by government, yeah, for government money. And digital activism, yeah, it's also being limited and censored. Here I have, like, I will share this presentation with all of you. And in December 2023, activist Aftan Diljarabek was detained in Bishkek by GKNB, like prosecutor's office, and they also used surveillance technologies to track, monitor journalists and all their cell phones. They tried to hack them and to hack their social media accounts, emails, and so this also happens quite often. And in March 2024, musician Askat Yetigen also was charged inciting, like, for mass unrest, like they call it seizure of power, for calling, mobilizing other users to protests. So, and Zarina Torokulova, activist, for her Facebook post criticizing government. Oljubay Shakir, famous writer, he's also he was also detained in jail, but last week he was released under domestic arrest. So there are a lot, like dozens of activists and journalists and investigators are being put under jail and under this law for mobilizing people for mass unrests. And state surveillance of internet activities is quite developed. Now we have all these face recognition cameras all over Bishkek, and now they're deploying them in Osh also. And these data, they don't get public consent to get their faces, yeah, recorded, and how they manage this data, how they with whom they share, how they storage this data is unknown. So the surveillance technologies are being used by government, and public didn't give any consent to do this. And mostly this company signed agreement with our government, Chinese Communist Party's Hikvision company, Huawei. They signed agreement, Xiaomi, yeah, to collect all this data. Even public buses have these cameras everywhere. They tell it for safety purposes, but they can use it for different purposes. And this is my latest research with OSCE, online harassment and violence against women journalists and bloggers in Central Asia. I did a survey and in-depth interviews with victims of online attacks, and also focus group discussions in 4 countries. And these are women journalists. They are mostly investigative journalists. And when they publish their investigations, they face attacks, online attacks, like online violence, a lot of hate speech, hatred, just because they are women. Yeah, they're easy target. And then they shame them, they use different technologies of ruining their reputation, and they have a lot of depression after this. Some of them leave journalism after that. Some of them just block all their social media, and it also affects their psychological, mental well-being, and also their family members, like husbands, kids. Like in Central Asia, you know, it's traditional society, and whenever women fall victim to this online harassment, it has vast consequences for their family also. So that's why the highest online attacks against journalists was in Kyrgyzstan. Maybe because we have more investigative journalists. It's like 53% or more than half. like every second woman journalist and blogger, and also human rights defenders and gender feminists who fight for girls' and women's rights. They are also under online attack. And in Uzbekistan and Tajikistan it's less, and in Kazakhstan it's like 30%, every third woman, and they say they faced online harassment. So this is our book. Like part one is focusing on identity, media, and politics. And the part two is focusing on issues like gender, religion, environment, migration, and activism. How gender is represented, how women are represented in Uzbek films or serials, soap operas, how traditional role of women is depicted and represented, how religion, Muslims, and other minorities, religious minorities, are represented in print media and online media. We did an analysis of 15 media outlets for like last 30 years. And what about the environmental and climate change issues? Do journalists cover this issue? So there was a content analysis of both press, print media and online, and migration and activism. Third part is on digital and social media. We analyzed social media in Kyrgyzstan, what are the trending topics, which accounts are disseminating which content, and for political information, entertainment and lifestyle and personal stories. And also we looked at digital diplomacy, how like big powers like UK, like with their BBC, they have Kyrgyz service in Bishkek and in other Central Asian countries, and how Voice of America, Radio Free Liberty, US funded, and how Sputnik, Russian funded Putin's like Sputnik project, Sputnik KG and other news outlets are doing digital diplomacy in Central Asia, specifically in Kyrgyzstan, what type of content they're promoting. So this part is like, I wrote part, but it's 3. So this consists of 14 chapters by 13 local researchers and 7 foreign researchers. Here you can see the every chapter. Yes. And my current research at the University of Miami as a Fulbright scholar is on social media analysis. It's a role in social cohesion and civic engagement in Central Asia, but I will focus on Kyrgyzstan, then possibly I will scale it to other Central Asian countries. And this is not just network analysis where I analyze and scrape data from Facebook, Meta like Instagram, Facebook, and Telegram, and from Russian social media outlets like Vkontakte, and also Odnoklassniki, and also I will scrape data from X, Twitter, how users in Central Asia are using, what are the trending topics, how they're engaging online, how they are making an impact, and what kind of misinformation they are disseminating, yeah. And also I will do face-to-face interviews and focus group discussions with these users. This focus of my research is on the consequences of social media on politics, the rise of populism in Central Asia, and democracy, equality, participation, diversity, deliberation, privacy, surveillance, community building, informal social networks, public sphere, everyday life, and civic engagement in Kyrgyzstan and possibly in other Central Asian countries. So you are welcome to contact me. This is my WhatsApp and email. If you are interested in my research, I can send you, and also I can answer to any questions you have, and I'm open to collaboration with any of you who are interested in this field. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Elira, for this impressive and somewhat sad presentation, taking into account the current, very quickly evolving context. You're showing very well the difficulties of journalism, of media, our media landscape, and also how things can unfortunately change very quickly, or it could be, or could fortunately change very quickly if that was going into the right direction, which is, as you explained very well today, not exactly what is happening right now. So I'm gonna give the floor to our audience. We have almost half an hour for a discussion. I'm just gonna remind to our audience online, so please feel free to send us your question either to me or to in the chat box. I mean, maybe let me ask the first question, because your book actually addresses the media's role in political sensitive environments, and you mentioned that again in your presentation, how journalists are now under, I mean, they've been under pressure for a long time in Central Asia, but including Kyrgyzstan, which used to be the so-called Switzerland, you know, of Central Asia. But you explained very well how pressures have increased on journalists. So my question is, how are Central Asian media professionals now adapting to or resisting restrictions on the on freedom of expression, on all these pressures they are experiencing in their daily professional life? And I was wondering if you could say a word about that.
Yes, thank you for your question. It's a very I mean, now everyone is struggling in Kyrgyzstan, and journalists in Kyrgyzstan are they united, and they have a media platform of Kyrgyzstan, and now they are helping to the relatives and children, family members, by collecting money, because these journalists, 11 journalists, are in jail, so they are helping their families, and also they are making like collecting signatures, petition, also to release them and to stop censorship, but still they cannot do it openly or rally or protest or come to the Alato, our famous square where we had all these protests. Now the freedom of assembly is also limited now. They cannot, they go to Gorky Park or somewhere in a square we call you know, where people leave very small limited space for rallying, for protests. And this Alato Square, they have turned into fountains, dancing fountains. Now people cannot come and protest. And so they are not openly protesting like in Georgia, Tbilisi, but they are like doing it online, like creating like a signal, because Telegram and WhatsApp can be tracked easily, surveilled. So they use Signal, and they have closed groups on Facebook where they come together, journalistic solidarity, and try to do something online. But now they are keeping silent, just переждать, we call it, like to wait until this current government maybe changes or new authorities come to power, but still struggling openly and protesting or making some statements. They are avoiding this because of being afraid putting in jail and for their relatives. Most of them are leaving country. They are leaving to Prague, to Poland. They are getting refugee status, like political refugee, and leaving to Europe or to US, and then to report from these countries, not being physically in Kyrgyzstan. So now everyone is like afraid. It's like self-censorship, and they cannot do something open. Not only journalists, but also women's NGOs. After this foreign agent law, many NGOs have liquidated, like they closed, hundreds of NGOs closed because they fall under this law, and then GKNB or tax office comes and then they put them fines, and they ask for the transparency, where they're getting money, for which purposes. So it's affecting civil society, media organizations, like women's organizations, environmental organizations, youth organizations. Now they're all in danger in Kyrgyzstan, and so this is the current status. And not only media, but also academia. Like they also come to universities and like check which guest lectures they're giving on which topic. So we cannot organize openly guest lectures on Ukraine, for example, war in Ukraine. So recently we organized a guest lecture, like the consequences of war in Ukraine on climate, on environmental, so that to bypass this, but then it's like you know, it's also coming to limiting academic freedom of conducting research also. So.
Thank you. So maybe I'm going to open the floor to our audience here. Any questions from her? Yeah, please. Can you introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Miriam. I'm very happy to be there. I am from Worcester University. I'm now an MBA student, but I have experience as a digital social media specialist for 4 years, and I'm really interested in this topic. And I'm really happy to see you and to meet you here, Elira. And I have a question about do our journalists have some like support or defense from the world organization that they can help to fix this problem, like something like that? Yes, Kurdistan as you say, the island of democracy, should be island of democracy in Central Asia. And we are like kind of the last chance, yes, to show that we can to keep these democracies still. And I guess for the world organization it should be like chance to help us in order to help our neighbors too as well.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for your question. Yes, International Association of Investigative Journalists, and International Women's Journalists Unions, they are helping. For example, Mahabat Tajibekzi, who is in jail now, and the Georgian Amal Clooney Foundation is also paying their lawyer to help her. And International Investigative Journalists Union also helping local journalists how to resist this, how they are doing mostly capacity building, like, but directly, like, they cannot like change the situation because local journalists have to do it themselves, but they have support, they have international organization support. They are showing them, for example, how they did it in other countries, how they resisted this, but this also should come from within the local grassroots. Those activists, civil society organizations, journalists should come together and resist this together. For this, they have resources, they have trainings, they have like, but directly they cannot like interfere in these international organizations. They're just helping with resources and teaching, conducting trainings. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, I'm going to take maybe now one question. We have several questions from our online audience, and I have some questions first on disinformation. I mean, the current concern is the growing wave of disinformation in Kyrgyzstan, but generally speaking, Central Asia, which is targeting independent media and the very concept of freedom of expression and even of human rights, generally speaking. So I was wondering if you could say a few words on how this disinformation is impacting free media in Central Asia, and if there are any policies, initiatives or steps being taken by media in Kyrgyzstan or elsewhere in Central Asia to resist and counter this disinformation campaign. And for example, there is one more specific question: are there any programs in Kyrgyzstan on promoting digital literacy to help people to identify misinformation and disinformation? And if so, do we know if they were successful?
Mm-hmm. Yes, there are. UNESCO is conducting a project on implementing a project on teaching both journalists and public about media literacy, digital literacy, and Fact Check KG. We have a website, Fact Check KZ in Kazakhstan, and Uzbekistan, Fact Check US. So these fact check, international fact checking organizations, they are helping them and teaching them, building capacity and skills, how to do fact checking and how to do TOT, training for trainers, and teaching both journalists, investigators, bloggers, and then they teach others. And through universities, they also do it, through schools. We have like media literacy, big project implemented in schools. Now we have introduced media literacy course for schools and have taught teachers. And so in Kazakhstan also they're teaching elderly people because they are mostly vulnerable to misinformation and because of less digital literacy. So they're teaching elderly people how to do fact-checking. So a lot of trainings are being conducted on fact-checking and digital literacy, but still it's not enough. Like, because all these technologies are changing so quickly. Now we have AI, where you can generate fake videos, deep fakes, and fake photos. So it's a challenge for Central Asian publics to differentiate between AI-made or human-made things and bots and all of this, which are disseminating information online on automation. So there, like some organizations are doing, but it's not enough. It's like just targeted, and it covers only some parts of the population. So in order to do that, like local governments or ministries of information and culture, they should do huge vast-scale projects, and through education, through capacity building. And journalists, they're doing like fact-check KG, they're doing fact-checking and saying this is fake information, this is true information. So, but this is not enough. They don't have enough resources. They have only 2-3 journalists who is doing it. So, not enough. Yeah.
Thank you, Elira. So another question is, how unprecedented is the separation of Mahabata Jibetkizi from her son and the placing of him in an orphanage as an attack against the opposition? And how is this being received in Kyrgyzstan broadly? And might the placement of the son in an orphanage backfire against the government?
Mm-hmm. Now we have a reaction of public, like mostly activists and journalists and bloggers and also ordinary people on social media. We have started a campaign. We also have a visual image of a mother hugging her son through these jails, like, and we have like a huge campaign, like hands off from the child. And now this reaction is getting more and more shares on social media, mobilizing more people, mostly women, there, and saying like, take off your hands from child, what are you doing? We have never had this before. So I think that the current government will stop taking her child because of the result of this campaign, because it's more and more influencing, and everyone is against this decision, like taking her son to orphanage, because he's in Isikul and he's with his grandparents, and in Kyrgyzstan, like mostly grandparents take care of their grandchildren when they go to migration, etc. And like, I mean, this is something which never happened to anyone, like especially to journalists. So my personal opinion is I'm also against this.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from our room here?
So,
Yes, please.
I'm Ruslan Rajan from Kazakhstan, research fellow here. So I'm also in the media studies, so I'm doing research. So what I've heard here, it's the same applies to Kazakhstan. Here we see the cyber attacks and different attacks to the journalists, activists, and we always see they block their Instagram, their Telegram channels. So the same, and it's really sad that they are also like limiting academics as well. So recently Central Asian Barometer also stopped their work. It's really sad, which we could use their sources. So what like I would like to hear your vision for the future, so where this leads and where are we going with this? Even like they didn't stop by the journalists, but now even academics, we are even afraid to write something which is not convenient for the government. So so what's your prediction? Like, we are the same, like Kazakhstan
In the same boat.
Yeah. So I'd like to see to hear your thoughts.
Yes, there is an information that Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan, with their vast experience of 30 years limiting freedom of speech and using advanced technologies to block websites, surveillance, are sharing their experience with current government in Kyrgyzstan. Their press service, the head of press service and others, they always come and teach them. So, but that's why I think that Central Asian journalists, they should unite and create a union, and also educate young journalists, not to be afraid, but to continue resisting, continue investigating corruption and injustices. Otherwise, if not we, who will do it? If not journalists, who will tell the truth? And if you like keep silent, then the authoritarian regimes will be more powerful, using both social media and traditional media. So there will be no space for discussion, for debate, for deliberation, and this public platform will be lost to authoritarian regimes. So that's why every journalist, every blogger, everyone, every citizen, every user of social media should resist, should come together, unite, and protest or rally or do digital activism, collect signatures, petitions, and do this huge campaign against the censorship of media and freedom of expression. Otherwise, we will be like Turkmenistan. So it's unavoidable, like where you use VPNs, and even you cannot access educational content. Also, like they did a block TikTok today. They will block YouTube tomorrow, like in Turkey. They will block X, and they will block Facebook, like in Russia. They will block Telegram, and new platforms will emerge. But it's difficult. Like these are all global social networks where there are so many hundreds, like as you see, millions of users. Like that's why local activists and journalists, NGO people, civil society organizations, they should come together and resist and do something about this.
And I heard that Azatlık
Voice of America,
they have blocked in Kyrgyzstan or
now
it's not working?
they blocked them for 4 months. We were using VPN, and mostly now they're on Instagram and Facebook doing like sharing content there, and everyone is now receiving information through social media. And Telegram, they have all of them. But traditional website is it was blocked. Now it's not blocked anymore. So they use mostly through social media.
So, I mean, to go on maybe on Kyrgyzstan, I have another question from our audience. Taking into account this concerning situation in Kyrgyzstan, there's a question on the reasons behind this situation, and you mentioned the influence of Russian propaganda and the war in Ukraine and the current media landscape in Kyrgyzstan. Are there any other possible reasons for this regression? Where does that come from?
And the Russian propaganda, especially about the war in Ukraine, still has a vast influence on audiences in Central Asia, because most people speak Russian, and this Russian language media, like mostly ORT, RTR, like Первый канал, they always spread news and information which is pro-Russian, pro-governmental, and then they use also social media very actively, and especially through Telegram publics we have, and TikTok also. So they are creating like pro-Russian discourse narratives among publics, and people accept this information without criticism, without critical thinking, and because there is so many information, and then they cannot do fact-checking of each piece of information. And as we had this 70 years of Soviet legacy, where everyone was watching Vremya and Moscow is speaking, or Pravda and all of this, and now they got used to that, but mostly elderly generation, they're still watching Первый канал. According to M-Vector latest research from 2024, number one, the ratings of TV is Первый канал again, and then KTR. So the first top 3 TV channels still Russian. So, and we are paying from our government budget like 1 million som every year for rebroadcasting these propagandistic, we call them zombie boxes, in Kyrgyzstan and Kazakhstan already cancelled this subscription. They don't pay anymore. But in Kyrgyzstan they're still broadcasting, and from government budget, government is paying for that and for making people zombie. And we now less people watch TV, of course, but still they are tapping into social media networks to get their audiences from there. mostly young people through TikTok or YouTube, and like pro-Russian bloggers, they're now everywhere, not only in Central Asia but in Europe and maybe in the US, like interfering in elections. And so this network, like Putin's big project of this misinformation regarding war in Ukraine and pro-Russian discourse is everywhere, both in digital media and traditional media. So, but now there are more like consciousness is rising among people in Central Asia. They are speaking more Kyrgyz language in Kazakhstan, Kazakh language, like decolonization, yeah, movement, like, and also going back to their roots, like before Soviets, who we were, yeah, searching for identity, and then like this new tendency, like using less Russian media, speaking less Russian language, especially after war in Ukraine is increasing, especially among progressive young people who speak different languages, who get information from diverse sources, not only Russian sources.
I have a question on how. Oh, Marabo, you have a question?
Yeah.
Yeah, please go ahead. Sorry.
It's okay. You can ask also. I am curious about your research, what you are doing currently regarding the harassment against women journalists. Can you talk a little bit more about it? What topics usually these women journalists are talking, and they're getting this harassment? And are there any religious topics also? Because I see in Central Asia it's getting more and more posts and kind of focus on religious. Many people, they are deciding to solve their problems through the Islamic, rules. So can you just...
Yes, these women, they are mostly investigative journalists who investigate corruption and injustices, inequality, women's rights, and they write about gender, they write about climate change, they also write about religious rights, and they mostly report inequalities and social issues, political issues, and they mostly, when they publish their investigations, they get all these troll farming attacks, and they attack them not as a journalist but also as a person, as a woman, and they are targeting their family members, and they are under this online attack, and they don't know what to do with this, how to react, how to protect themselves, and how to identify these fake accounts, yeah, and then whom to apply. When they publish their investigative pieces on women's rights, for example, in Kazakhstan, about traditional patriarchal society that we need to change, that girls and women have equal rights, then they are targeted mostly by men, and then men attack them online and say that they are against traditional Kazakh values, and then so they fall victim to these online attacks. And in Kyrgyzstan, mostly women, when they investigate corruption, when they investigate misuse of government budget or violence against women and girls, like rapes and other things, they also fall under this, victim to these attacks. Recently, Kamshai Mamurkulova, a famous blogger, she was targeted 2 weeks ago, and everywhere, mostly on Facebook platform, they do it, and they don't have support, legal support or psychological support. Their editorial management says just take 2 days off, don't listen to them, ignore them, don't react to them. So this is not a support. Here they need capacity building for cybersecurity, how to identify, how to apply to court, and they don't apply to court because they don't have resources to go to court hearings or to hire a lawyer. So both legal and digital support they need. And when these women, especially from Uzbekistan, when they tell their stories, it was so deep consequences it has, they just leave journalism, they don't want to write anymore. They also, these troll farms, they also create fake news about these women, ruining their reputation. for their also sexual harassment, like they say, I will come and rape you and etc. I know your address, etc. So this is also for physically they also not only digitally attacked. So I mean, that's why like women, if women keep silent, if they leave journalism, if they don't blog about all these social and issues in Central Asia, then women's voices will be nowhere. I mean, only men journalists will be talking, yeah, or this has a vast consequences for freedom of speech and for women's voices to share their opinion about these issues. So now even I teach journalism in Bishkek, and my journalism students, women like girls, they are also afraid of being investigative journalists. And what will they do? They will investigate entertainment or what else if not politics, economy and climate change or gender issues.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions from the room? We're getting close to the end of this event. We have 2 minutes left. Maybe if I may ask, I'm curious about how a population in Central Asia view media. I mean, is there a general sense of trust or distrust now in media among Central Asian audiences? And how, I was wondering also, I mean, I know we only have 2 minutes left, but how digital platforms are affecting public perceptions of media credibility?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a very important topic, trust and credibility. With the advance of social media platforms, like platformization, yeah, they think if it's Meta, then CIA is controlling. If it's Sputnik, then Putin is controlling. If it's TikTok, then Chinese Communist Party is controlling. Everyone is ownership, media ownership, like in traditional media, in digital media also. Who owns this platform, yeah? And mostly they collect data with private data about these online digital footprints of users and sell it to marketing and other agencies without their consent, and then they get targeted advertisements online. So this also decreasing the trust in digital platforms, and but also these digital platforms are taking the bread from local journalists like Google Ads, Meta Ads, Target SMM. So like now advertisements go to Meta, to Google or all money, and local journalists struggle without advertisement money. So this is also happening, and the rise of AI is a new challenge for Central Asian digital users. Now they need AI literacy now. They weren't handling with media literacy and digital, now AI literacy, and to differentiate like deepfakes, AI-generated videos from real ones. And like this challenge of disinformation we've seen during COVID, yeah, infodemia and conspiracy theories. Like everywhere, conspiracy theories, misinformation, they are being disseminated through WhatsApp, mostly through Telegram, and people are just sharing it without reading, and like they don't know how to do fact-checking. And journalists are also struggling because there is so many information and they don't have enough resources to do fact-checking and also to teach others how to do fact-checking. So with the rise of AI, journalists are also struggling how to identify fake news, especially during elections. It's really important when they do polarization of society, like we are now talking about depolarization and polarization. And so this social media is playing an important role in polarizing society, like Muslim, non-Muslim, like Kyrgyz or other ethnicities, and like among ethnic minorities, like so that's why like we need I don't know, a big like large-scale digital literacy and fact-checking projects in Central Asia, and critical thinking which teach schools and universities and public about critical thinking, which is now I think is a huge challenge with given restrictions and limitations on freedom of speech and freedom of media.
All right, thank you. So very unfortunately, we need to finish. I mean, this conversation, I guess, could have gone on for a long time. There's so much to say, so many concerns, but at the same time, also many ways to explore on how to try to improve the situation. So, I mean, this topic is so important that it means that we have to organize more events. Events on that. I'd like to finish by really recommending all our audience to read the edited volume that IERES released, so it titled Mapping the Media and Communication Landscape of Central Asia, an anthology of emerging and contemporary issues. So thank you so much, Elira, for this wonderful presentation, for this great discussion. I would also like to thank our audience here in the room, our online audience for the discussion, and we look forward to seeing you again in one of our upcoming Central Asia Program seminars. Thank you very much. Have a very good day. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. That was
Thank you.
great.
Thank you.
Congrats. Congrats.
Thank you very much for
Can we
attending.
just talk a few minutes?
Yes,
with the
yes.